shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org.
Part was he was chilling, he was doing his thing. Y'all, you feel me? A lot of y'all family, you know what I'm saying? And like, for him to be taken away from you, snatched away from you, just like that. You feel me? It's like...
Thank you for tuning in to BeExposedRadio.com. Sit back, relax, and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
This is the reality
of
the world that we're living in. A lot of young people don't have the information that is necessary to have healthy lives. And a lot of the organizations that are geared towards young people don't have individuals that are going to be as honest as this gentleman.
One of the issues that I have with this quote unquote Christian nation that we live in is that
not just the Christians,
being religion allows you to live in denial, but the world does not live in denial. So who are you helping with your? All right, I'm gonna stop. I'm about to do something.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome to Sunset Soul. I'm your host, Dawnl, and I have with me here today Miss Lisha G. Miss Lisha G, my co-host, you already know.
Yeah, that's me.
Mr. Woodson, he was here with us before. You should remember Mr. Woodson.
Hello,
Mr. Michael Harrison Jr., Black by Demand.
What's up, family?
And Mr. Eric Pitts.
We here. I told you I'd be here.
I appreciate y'all checking in with us today and checking out our show. You gave up on it?
No, I got it.
Last week, our show was Taking Fathers. We had a couple of fathers in here, and they gave their perspective on the absent father role, fathers that were not in the home for various reasons. And it was a pretty good show. Did Lisha, did you have anything you want to say about last week's show? We dived in real deep.
I think we had some very strong, mature, great African American fathers on last week. They represented very well. No, honestly, I really do. They represented very well.
They really did.
Now, I don't want to say nothing negative about the overall population of deadbeat dads, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to say that we had some very great fathers on last week, and I'm glad that they got the opportunity to share their tale.
We did. Did y'all get a chance to check out the show?
Yes.
Y'all did? Oh, okay. Cool. Mr. Warren, did you couldn't get it?
No.
Yeah, we were Facebook was having some issues. You know, let me reiterate again today. If by chance we have some Facebook viewers, if you ever get to a place where you can't see us Thursday at 8 o'clock, you can always go to BeExposedRadio.com, and it will give you the whatever links of the show that will be live, and hopefully at that time it's Sunset Soul, and you can click on the live broadcast from BeExposedRadio.com, or you can also go to YouTube Live at 8 o'clock, same thing. You'll get the same show. We also look at your comments on YouTube Live as well. And we're still broadcasting live from Facebook, but it's just manual. so
don't talk about my unsteady hand. Listen, I got this.
We bring it home.
We do what we can do.
Say it again.
Bring it home, Lisha.
Oh, I got you.
Oh my goodness. So it was such an amazing show last week, because first of all, that was our second highest rating show.
It was?
On Facebook.
Oh, awesome.
Wow. On Facebook. The first one was our initial show.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And this was our second, which is crazy because for the amount of, in my mind, turmoil or whatever the issues was that we thought we were having, it didn't stop the message from being delivered. Right. So that makes me happy that no matter what, we got some loyal viewers.
Yeah.
Because this was, after the fact, which means people still tuning in. I told somebody the other week when they said they missed the show, you can always go back. I believe, Nate, isn't it on Be Exposed Radio as well? You can go to BeExposedRadio.com and look at past shows, not just my shows. We have several really, really good shows on this station. You can also go to YouTube and put in Sunset Soul Radio Show and look at the past shows. Don't take it for granted, though. Don't wait for like a year. I'm not sure how long they keep it on there, but I'm quite sure if you got the date, you can find it. Right. So what I'm hoping that today that y'all listen to while you're watching, you still comment and give us some feedback, because the fathers that came here on last week kind of really painted a picture for how fathers who were not in the home with their children, how they saw things. And today we have adult children, including myself, also Miss Lisha G, if I'm not mistaken, who were the result of being in the home without the biological father. So I wanted to give us our platform to not only speak on how we feel, but also to respond to some of the not really issues, but some of the explanations that the fathers gave. And I want to be clear. This is not about being right, wrong, or indifferent. This is just what it is. These things happen. These are the results of these things happening. It doesn't make anybody, nobody's trying to bash anybody, or nobody is saying, he was a deadbeat. He did what he did, and you are here. You made it, So let's go. Let's move from now. What can we do? So I already asked how many of you watched the show. So could you give me your take on the father's point of view? Just a general take on how you felt listening to some of the fathers explain their situation. You don't have to get into any specifics. We'll start with Mr. Harrison.
I think it gave everybody a chance to see that it's feelings involved on both sides of the table. Everybody usually doesn't get to hear the father's side of the story. It's just automatically assumed, he's a deadbeat, he ain't doing what he was supposed to do. Absolutely. But there's other factors involved. So I feel like it gave everybody a chance to have their day in court.
Absolutely.
Right? You understand what I mean? So that was cool. That was real cool.
That was one of the first things that we started talking about on the show, because everybody do assume if your father wasn't in the house, he was a deadbeat.
Right.
And that was one of the first questions that I asked them. What was the reason why you weren't in the home? Because there were some people who, there was the military. I actually talked to some fathers who, they were truck drivers. They were on the road a lot. It was not solely because of them, in your mind, being a deadbeat.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, your child is friends with a child.
Right.
That father is a deadbeat. Though you're out working, the two children still have something in common. You're not home.
Right.
So the conversation between the two children is, our fathers aren't here, so it's going to still be interpreted like you're doing something bad, or as a result of their surroundings, at the time. Mr. Woodson, you didn't get a chance, did you?
I didn't know.
Okay. All right, did you watch the show?
I watched a little bit of it. I was at work at the time, but just a little bit of a brief synopsis of what I seen is that, like y'all said, we have a lot of fathers out here that really, really care. And the voices need to be heard.
Right.
And we got to stand, like I said the week before last when I was on the show, we just got to have a village. It got to be a village.
Right.
We got to stand up. We got to stand together. We can't let that chain break.
That's right.
And keep it together. So that's the biggest thing to me, one of the biggest things. So
yeah,
I agree.
If I would hope that after we do the show, if you get opportunity to go back and just check it out if you can, because they said some really good stuff, on there, and they may have hit home, for you, or maybe can answer some questions. Oh, now you want to go with the stick? Okay, I'm sorry, y'all.
Everybody don't need to know.
They want to know all of a sudden they got still. But listen, we make it work once I said so.
Right.
Were there any explanations that stood out to you? And even though you didn't watch it, we're going to get into some things that they said.
Okay.
And you can still get it. These are just the intro questions, so don't feel like it's going to be like this the whole show.
No.
But were there any comments or explanations that they said that kind of stood out that you didn't really think about before?
No, not for me. I think it was pretty much along the lines of what I've heard from other brothers who've been in that situation before. You know, I've heard, you know, what happens sometimes when the father can't be in the home, and it's, you know, like you said, it's not always a situation where he don't want to be. It's circumstances.
Yep.
So yeah, everything seemed right along the lines of things that I've heard out of brothers' mouths before.
Well, I know one thing stood out for me, and it was probably small, but we had the conversation of the boys pulling their clothes all the way down to go to the bathroom. I'm still shocked that that's a thing for guys. Like, that's a serious.
That's the thing for me.
I thought it was a joke. No, but I mean, you know how you say, I don't want, you know, don't just use the bathroom like this. I didn't know that it was that significant to men. Like, if your son sits and pees or pull his pants all the way.
Oh yeah, that's
very a thing. Is that like a rite of passage or something? Like, what am I missing?
Well, it's almost, you know, it's definitely a rite of passage because, you know, he's a boy. So, you know, the whole thing with us is we got easier access, you know, and it deals with more masculinity, not exposing yourself completely. You know, like, if you can imagine being in the restroom at the urinal, and there's your son in there with his pants all the way down, and you don't know who's in that bathroom with him.
Yeah.
I guess it's a type of what we talk about jail effect thingy. You know, where when you're in jail, you don't pull your pants all the way down because you might, you know, somebody might come behind you.
Right, you don't want to do anything to lead somebody down the wrong road.
But however, when you use the bathroom, you taking a number 2, or I guess, don't you use the bathroom?
Don't you gotta pull your clothes all the way down?
Yeah, you sit down, so it's like kind of like
I think it's a level of maturity.
Exactly.
You know, down to not be able to go to the bathroom without messing your clothes up.
Right.
So, you shouldn't have to pull your pants all the way down to use the bathroom.
Right. So do you think just a guy you can pull the bottom up? So. Do you think a guy what's wrong?
No.
Do you think a guy doing that or feeling this way, is it just more so like because it's a in your mind a feminine thing? Like it's just not necessarily lack of being taught, but you just automatically equate it to being feminine?
Either feminine or, you know, maybe mentally challenged. Like I remember being in school.
Old school.
You old school. I remember being in school, you know, when I was younger, and then you had the kids that had the special education classes. Like, it was out of those kids that you would be in the bathroom and see one of them at the urinal, like the pants all the way down. And that's how we looked at it, like, yo, look a dude.
But it's because they do that because they haven't learned. And it's offensive to men because it makes it obvious that my son's not learning. And so now it's saying to them, you're not teaching them something that they need to know.
So then your anger should be with yourself, not necessarily at your son. No?
Because it goes deeper. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole, but what I'm saying is a part of that teaching is the man also has to teach him how to handle his tool.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's a part of that. It's things that we do in our routine when we use the restroom that we got to teach that to our boys. And, you know, having your pants all the way down, like,
I agree. I guess that's the same thing, like where they say women have to teach, you know, how to wash,
right,
stuff like that.
So we got a few things we got to teach them.
I agree.
You know, and one of them is definitely control, so you ain't in there making a mess.
Well, that's true.
Well, they still gonna make a mess. I know grown men.
Hopefully they get better at it as they get older. Hopefully.
Your mother told you to wipe it up. I know that.
Mine is still learning, but they were daddy for the summer, so I'm hoping they come back right. Listen,
you get beats. You get beats for that.
We get ready to go to commercial break. Listen, y'all, stay tuned. We are just started. We ain't even finished the intro question, so you wanna stay a part of this conversation. Trust and believe. We will be right back. Sunset Soul. I'm your host, Love Dawnl, Lisha G, and all of my guests. Be right back.
Thank you for tuning in to BeExposedRadio.com. Sit back, relax, and listen to this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Football, you basically have a good 10 to 12 years, and that's what it is.
Well, you have a lot of people retiring early. It's funny, a lot of me and my alumni from UVA, where I graduated from, one of our fellow Wahoos, he retired yesterday, 32 years old. To Shaw Ferguson, and he's been in the league like 10 or 12 years. So like you said, a lot of guys are making that that changed on their own now because they're seeing a lot of things from the the concussion movement,
right?
Stuff that's been happening. Is not the noun, is the effects later, because you see different stories of men are in like their 50s and some are committing suicide because of the banging and the voices or the concussions. And
did you see that?
I haven't got a chance to see it. But
not the movie, but did you see those effects?
I have seen concussions in college where guys have played that whole entire game and didn't realize they was at a football game.
Wow.
But like before the big emphasis came about whole concussions and what's going on, we was taught you run to the wall. You can't be soft. You shake it off and get back in it. So
the wrong attitude to have.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really internal. Like you really doing damage, not just to your bones,
right,
but to your mind.
Everything. Right. And later on down the line, because just like you said, once the game is over, when you've been in a game and you think about it, because I tell people the NFL, any sports, whether it's male or female, is a semi-military, because you're told when to get up, when to work out, what to eat, when to play. All right, now you got a curfew, you got to be in the bed by this time. You do it for years and years, and all of a sudden, bam, it's done. So what do you do?
Right.
So just like in a military to have with PTSD, we have that because we so used to having a certain way. And I remember watching this Brian Gumbel on HBO, it was like years ago, and a guy would act like he was getting dressed, a real good football player, would walk his daughter to the bus stop, and he would come back in the house, close the curtains, and just sit there because he didn't know how else to handle himself, because he was so used to being told what to do, because our schedule are laid out. By this time, you got to do this. By this time, you got to do this. Eat at this time, back on the field. So,
hey, what's up? This is Nate, host of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Tune in every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live, here live on BeExposedRadio.com.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story, adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org.
I don't understand why. Look, me, and I haven't said anything either. This is my moment. Where this American Healthcare Act is. Oh, you all right? Ooh, a sneeze and a cough. How'd that work out? That sounds real difficult. Like, damn, sneezing is like you skipping a heartbeat. A cough is like you bringing up a lung. So it was like a sneeze and a cough. So you was dying twice. Because you was coughing. I was like, you okay? Achoo! What? How you fit that in there? So, now back to the American Healthcare Act, because you're going to need that to get the cough and the sneeze together.
Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Check out this flashback of the Artist Exchange Radio Show on BeExposedRadio.com.
How did you know that this is what you wanted to do as far as being a singer or entertainer?
It's always been in me. It's always been a part of who I am.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We are back.
Yay.
Sunset Soul, I'm your host, Love Dawn. Before the break, we were talking about, we were just getting into the intro questions about the fathers that came on last week's show, giving their perspective of how they view things with not being in the home with their children. And the question on the floor now is, were there any subject matters or answers given by the fathers that were applicable to your individual situation?
Ooh.
Were there any subject matters that you can remember that were applicable to your individual situation?
Who were our guests last week? Pete.
The guests were...
Well, not Pete. What's his name?
Kev.
Kevin
was here.
And what was the other guest name?
Kevin, he was dealing with the issue with the judicial system and having to fight for his children to come live with him. And this had been, you know, Kevin's situation. This had been a long, ongoing process, fighting to get custody of his children. And Mr. Paul, he had spoke about two different situations. One was when he was young and dealing in narcotics and stuff like that. And then vice versa. He had went into the Army first, right?
Mm.
And then so he was gone away from his children for the first part of being in the Army, and then later dealing with drugs and so forth, and then wind up going to jail. So these are three different scenarios for him. Did any of those things?
Now, for me personally, Paul made a statement that he felt at some way that it was better to not be in the home because of safety issues and things like that for the children, especially while he was during the time frame when he was doing illegal activity.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of agree with that. Like, I mean, I think that partly because it's biased. Yeah, but I partly agree with it. If that's the decision, if that's the lifestyle you choose to make, then it is best to keep that lifestyle separate from your family. But above all that, you would make a better decision when you're considering your family, so that you can do what needs to be done, which is better for you to be in the home and work at McDonald's than to not be in the house altogether, but you can succeed. So I think that kind of hit home personally, because my biological father was getting high. He was doing drugs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so if he could avoid me, he would.
Because he didn't want you to see him like that, obviously. I mean, that's how men are. Right. I guess so, right? That's how we are. In terms of jobs, in terms of when we talk about systems, I'm big on the system because I think the system is not designed for a man when you come down to child support. It's just not designed for him.
Right.
At all. So a lot of times when people say deadbeats, it don't just because the father's a deadbeat. It's just because the mom and the situation what they went through, he don't want to intervene in that. And so it's better for him to just stay away completely from the family. And it's kind of like, you don't know what the mom is saying, you know what I mean, to keep the father away. So now he don't have no job. Now he's trying to search for work, maybe on drugs. So he don't want to bring that to the household. So it's kind of, it's really tough sometimes, especially for a man.
And that maybe it's just a woman thing, because we'll endure stuff for what we love.
Yeah.
And I'll put up with some bull crap to make sure I see my kid. Men don't do that though. Like, men are like, it ain't worth it. And it's sad, but that's pretty much what y'all saying. Well, not y'all in particular, but that's pretty much what men are saying when you bow out. You're saying it ain't worth it. And
because
I think that the kids are worth it.
Oh. Yeah, the kids are worth it, but he's not really dealing with the kid. He's dealing with the woman.
But what I'm saying is,
you know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying is, you can't deal with that little bit of pettiness for the sake of making sure that, all right, I know she got a lot of bull crap with her, but I gotta see my kid. And to make the decision that her bull crap is more of a stress to me than seeing my kids, it's like saying that my kids aren't worth enduring the bullcrap.
Yeah, that sound good though. That sound real good. But you go into the situation where you can't communicate with her. You can't talk to her. Now we're getting to a point where, okay, I want my kid back here at a certain time. I can't spend as much time as I want with my kid. Or I'm doing it. She's trying to control the situation. Like, it goes both ways, but most of the time it's because of that. And it's like, yo, you know what? I can't deal with that. Like, it's just it's too much.
Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
No, and I was thinking that's to piggyback on what he was speaking of too. I think at a certain point, you know, the male would say, okay, I don't want my child seeing what me and his mother is going through.
Right.
So I would, I would bow out and I would just go ahead and just, walk away from the situation right now.
Okay.
But there's other ways to handle it. Like,
it is.
I mean, no.
The court system is not designed for men, but if you work the system, it will work for you. And we just don't take the time to get educated enough to figure out what we need to do.
The question. Well, this isn't the question. Which y'all are talking about now. We're actually going to get into, a little bit later as well. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the same way they say when you go to a job interview, they make it difficult because they want to weed out the weak from the strong. So if a mother is going to go to whatever length she has to go through to get her child to do what she has to do, for a real mother, should I say, to whatever it takes is whatever it takes, so that my child has what they need to have, get what they. If I want my child with me, I'm going to put forth the effort.
Yeah,
they expect you to give up the fight. They expect you to get tired. It's intended to be that way. It is tedious like that. When you see a whole bunch of court papers, lawyers do that for a reason. They don't want you to read it. They don't want you to go through line by line. They want you to get halfway through and be like, okay, let me just start signing. And we all have done it 9 times out of 10. 10 papers down, we now just start signing because the first 3 papers looked okay. And that's what they do. So if you don't continue to put forth the fight for your children, then they're going to say, well, obviously, this child don't need to be with you because you're tired already. Do you know how much work goes into raising a child? If you can't do this paperwork, you can't raise this child. Listen, y'all. Second commercial break. When we come back, there was some statistics that we got into that I want to get y'all opinion on. And if you want to call in, if you have an input, you can call us 410-702-5657. When we come back from commercial break. If you call during the commercial, you will not be able to get through. So just give us, soon as you hear that hand clap, start dialing 410-702-5657. We'll be right back.
What you missed on Be Exposed Radio.
So now we are in reactive mode. With our young people, we don't spend enough time working with them, preparing them, inspiring them, mentoring them. And so now we're faced with a generation that's like, I'm gonna do my own thing. Right. I have no respect for you, because what have we done to help them except to say that, like I was telling the HL7 that I get highly upset when adults forget that they were ever young, and the first thing they say is young people are up to no good. Well, you're not helping them. What are you doing to inspire them? Right. So to me, that's reactive, because now that they're in the street cutting up, now you like, oh, we need to do something with our children, or we need to start schools earlier so we can get them off the street, or we need to do this. To me, that's reactive.
Tune in to Be Inspired every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
When I smoked weed, there was a D on that. When I smoked weed, my inhibitions actually weren't wild. Like I wasn't like, oh, I want to go fly on a kite or jump off this roof or something like that. No, it was quite the opposite. I was very laid back. I actually wanted to eat all the time. Gosh, and I never would get full. And I got sleepy. So I never wanted to go out and do something wrong, like break windows, drive under the influence. Definitely not drive under the influence. Because I wanted to go to sleep very badly. Like, high sleep is the best sleep ever. Gosh. Irresponsible child abusers are going to have free access. That's not the truth, because if they do legalize it, they're going to probably put the same stipulations they do for cigarettes. Now, if you are under 18 and you wind up getting a pack of cigarettes, then that's what happens. I had a pack of cigarettes before I was 18. So what? Because they was, cigarettes was in a machine that, it wasn't nobody standing there. Right. You just pull a little knob and get your little pack of Newports and you go about your business.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
We are back. I'm your host, Love Dawn Sunset Soul. Listen, could y'all do me a favor if you're I'm clearly see that you're watching right now. Would you share this feed with your friends so that someone else will be able to hey Rachel, someone else will be able to tune in and give some feedback if they want to be a part of this awesome conversation. I would greatly appreciate that. Before the commercial break, we started talking about the statistics. On last week, I've read some statistics, and I'm going to run through them real quick, and then I want the children of these fatherless homes to tell me how you fit in, or if you feel like you fit in this on this Richter scale at all. Children in father-absent homes are 4 times more likely to be poor.
I ain't poor.
More likely, 4 times more likely. More likely to suffer emotional and behavioral problems. 2 times greater risk of infant mortality. More likely to go to prison. 4 out of 5 inmates have fatherless homes. More likely to commit crimes. More likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. More likely to face abuse and neglect. 2 times more likely to suffer obesity, 2 times more likely to drop out of high school, and 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen.
I don't believe those statistics.
I was going to say that. Wow.
I don't believe those statistics.
Wow.
Statistics are based on who reports those statistics.
Absolutely.
And it seems to me that there would be a lot of other factors involved that would create this outcome. And then having a missing father is just one piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because, you can get that outcome just from the neighborhood you live in.
The environment you're around.
And then you just also happen to not have your father in the house.
Right.
So they just taking that it was because the father wasn't there.
Right.
No, it was because he lives in the hood.
Right.
And everything he glamorized was on the street level, and that's what he aspired to be.
Okay.
Or, I'll piggyback off that. You have 2 parents in the household. Strict. And you just want to do what you feel like you want to go out and do X, Y, and Z, and and you feel like you want to experience something else.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that it can go either way. I mean, I didn't see both sides, and it's like, wow.
Right, kids who grow up and do something with the father,
without the father,
without the father,
yeah. Like you said,
PK kids, we know all about it. Come on, Keisha.
Yeah.
Come on.
Listen, thank God I haven't had no infant mortality. There's a couple of these I can say I definitely ain't claiming poor. Can't say I abuse any of these things.
But how much of it can you say, even if you did all of it, how can you blame it all on fathers not being in the home?
Right.
That's what I'm assuming. Y'all know I'm straight Google. I'm assuming this is the one common denominator in every, in the majority of the people that they polled. I don't know exactly who they polled, but that's the one thing that remains the same in all of them, or more.
Well, they got to put it on somebody. I mean, that's what they try to do.
I mean, like you said, it could have been, they might have searched for all of those people to fit the...
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say, statistical research is known to be biased.
It's very biased.
It's very biased.
First of all, it wasn't conducted by us.
Exactly.
So that's the first issue at hand.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I can't put my faith in statistics that are produced by those who participate in producing an environment to create a bad statistic.
Exactly.
Okay. I do not disagree with that. But you have to admit that some of these things, though, I mean, at some point in time, I never heard of the infant mortality. And I said that last week, I don't really understand that part about that. How does the father not being? I guess the mother, the weight, if it all being on the one parent, could that be?
You can't rationalize something that's irrational. That doesn't.
Right.
We don't have enough information to validate any of these stats.
Right.
That's true.
And what I think of with, say, a boy in particular, growing up in the house without a father, it doesn't fall under these statistics. Like I'm thinking of other things like he may not be able to step up to the plate all the time, especially when it comes to issues dealing with the woman in his life.
Right.
Because when you're a boy and your father's not in the house, the dominant figure in your life is always your mother. So when you get into a relationship, you can easily be subjected to not stepping up and being the lead, and then that woman ends up being the lead.
Right.
And then you look back and say, and she could complain and say, I love my man, but he just doesn't take the lead like I want him to. Why is that? And it's like because he was never shown that he was raised by his mother.
That's the right. That's it. I can't with that. I just Okay, let's just move on. Because I don't want to. Because that. I mean, that's another conversation.
Right.
That's now the mother's perspective of taking fathers. You know, because we're doing the child and the father, but the mother's got a perspective on this thing too.
We are doing the father, and I'm sorry, I can't even. That irritates me so much when we say we playing the mother role and the father role. We not playing the father role. We're not. We can't.
So we can't teach them how to go to the bathroom standing up.
That's not
We're talking about
no. No,
I think
because realistically,
there's tutorials. YouTube got everything. No. I'm just saying.
Then YouTube is playing the father role. Then
okay.
I just don't agree with that. I mean, there are men in the community of people around them that are teaching them how to be men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're not doing that.
And so that's why I was ready to piggyback off of that. Like my story. Mm-hmm. I had a father in the house. Mm-hmm. I had a mother in the house. My father and my mother were married for almost 15 years, but they got a divorce. Mm-hmm. And throughout the course of my life, my father was in and out. Mm-hmm. Back and forth jobs. Had a great job, in and out. And so the reason why he was in and out is the situation that was going on with him and my mother. Mm-hmm. Can't see eye to eye, can't communicate with each other. Right. He's trying to be the father that he wants to be in the household. It's kind of getting in the way sometimes. I had an older brother that didn't have a father. His father died, trying to be there for him. Right. And she's trying to get in the way of how he's trying to teach him and make him a man, become a better man. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at it from that point of view. I had so many different father aspects in my life coming up, whether it's coaching, whether it was any sport I was doing, or young men in the community. Mm-hmm. I looked up to you. Hey, boy, listen. Yeah. You ain't standing out here. Go to school. Right. I don't care what I'm doing out here. Right. Go to school. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, you on the basketball court. Yo, go home at 8 o'clock. Yeah. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and that's what I was saying that we don't have anymore. The consistency. Yeah. And see, that's what all falls down to.
Right. Other men to pick up the pieces.
Exactly.
Right.
Consistency and balance.
Do you think that? So do you think that with other men picking up the pieces, that now shrinks this statistics? Because this is based on the biological father not being in the home. Right. But what you're saying is the biological father may not be home, but then you have this village, as you say. Sure. So does that now shorten this list?
Yeah. If that list was real. Yeah, I would say that it shortens.
And then you got to think about this. If the father really not there, what is he really doing? He's working.
That's not all the ways. That's not all the ways.
What I'm saying, that's one point.
But let's go into the father's questions.
All right, go ahead.
Last week we had the child's questions and we presented it to the fathers and they gave their answers. This week I have the father's questions to the children. Mm-hmm. So let's just start with number one. Yeah. Do you know the real reason your father was not in the house? If so, is the story you know now the same as you were told when you were a child?
That's a good one.
I say all day. Well, for me personally, I do. As I got older, I just realized that he didn't know how to raise a child. It was easier for him to, and I found this out when I was a teenager, and I was just having a conversation with him and just trying to talk to him about just certain things, and he just couldn't answer any of the questions that I had. And I didn't know how to interpret it then, but I've always been the type of person where if I feel like you didn't know, I thought you didn't know something, then I just walk away. I wouldn't press the issue. I would tell myself, okay, common sense. This conversation is not going to be fruitful. As I got older and I started reading, and I read this one book by Richard Wright, and he talked about his father, how his father would always grin and give him a nickel, and he was saying that as he got older, he realized his father just didn't know how to raise a son. And he was like, he couldn't be, and that's the other issue I had too. And I always had resentment towards my father. I learned how to fight, in the streets, like the brother was saying. It's that nature versus nourish versus nature environment. It was the fellas, the guys out in the streets that taught me how to defend myself, what to do, what not to do, and they're sitting there doing things, and I'm hanging with these guys, and they're passing the dollar bill around. And they're like, don't do this shit.
Right.
You could take your ass home.
Right.
So it's one of those things. And as I got older, I realized, I said, well, you know what? Maybe my father didn't understand or didn't know how to teach me certain things or tell me certain things.
But that came once you matured.
Once I matured, yeah. But I mean, and after that, the resentment went away towards him.
But he didn't say anything to you. This was just your understanding of the situation that changed, that then helped heal your heart. You did the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Exactly. No, I'm asking that because some people feel like I have to have a conversation with my father before I can let go of what I feel towards my father.
Right.
And sometimes that's just not the way things line up. God forbid your father could have been taken by death.
Yeah.
You're going to hold that pain for the rest of your life. You know, there are some other ways, as you just mentioned, that you can, and it's not going to be, I'm just going to sit here and write a letter to my father today, and then tomorrow everything is going to be okay. And it may be that way for you. For some people, it's a process. And the process is understanding the why behind why people did some of the things. And that's what a jury does. That why is the changing factor whether or not you get the death penalty or if you get a certain amount of years. Because sometimes, though it's wrong, it's in some ways justified.
Yeah.
You know, so
and I think a big part of it too is that my mother showed no animosity towards him. You know?
That's huge.
So she was always like, that's your father, and always had kind words and things. She never showed. I don't know what was going on. I mean, I don't think any of us knew what our minds really were dealing with. Yeah. But she never showed any animosity towards him at all.
That sounds like an old school mother right there.
Yeah. That's how my mother was. My father wasn't in the home. In the home, and it was because my mother put him out. Right, because he was Rolling Stone. You understand what I'm saying? But he was around, right? But based off what he was saying about fathers not necessarily knowing how to be a father, right? My father was still always there. He was just next town over, whatever. But like my brothers, I think they took that more to heart than me. You understand what I mean? They kind of held it against him. But even as a youngin', I tried to look at the one thing that I think a lot of times we don't look at as children, and that is like, what was his life like as a child? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my father's father died when he was 11 years old.
Right.
So the fact that he was still in our lives and was able to teach us how to be men, even though he wasn't in the household, I'm like, he did great because he didn't make it that far. You understand what I mean? His got cut off at the age of 11, and there was no uncles around that continued to teach him how to be a man, but yet he managed to be able to teach us how to be a man, even though he wasn't in the house. So it's definitely a lot of factors that are involved if they even have the ability to be a father who can teach their kids how to be a man.
Yeah.
Put the mic closer. Okay, pull the mic closer to you.
Pull the mic closer.
Yeah, to me talk.
Mic check 1 2.
Yeah, this is definitely a big topic for me because my father, military background, clean cut guy, business, marketing, knowledgeable, everything. He was there.
Right.
But as I got older, I started to see the mistakes that he made and my mother made and why it broke their relationship up. Because now I got older and I'm living with my mom. So now I start to see like, Mom, that, certain things you do and different things, that don't make sense. But I'm looking as a son and, I'm getting older. So now I'm like, hold
looking
up.
Through your man.
Now I'm looking at I'm saying, oh, this what Dad was talking about, bro.
Right.
Like, yo.
Yeah, it ain't easy.
It ain't. And I don't mean to kiss you. But what I'm saying to you is just like, and you got life. You got life. Life is life. You got life. Everything might don't go on how you want to go on with your job situation. Finances.
Right.
That was big. Once I started seeing that with my mom and my dad, and I was like, that was it. Most of it was finances.
Yeah.
He telling me the stories that she telling me, and then it's like telling him. And I was never coming up. I was never. I thank God for this, but I was never the person that really like, I'm gonna take this side. I'm gonna take this side. I was always like, I'm gonna listen to him. I'm gonna listen to him. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, that's why I'm like that now. I'm the guy that come in the middle, be like, yo, EP, what's up, man? You listen, you got it. And I'll be like, listen, man, y'all, you gotta hear him out. You gotta hear him out. So it's definitely my dad was there. That's like I said, consistency, and once that happened, it was just like, all right, he got to an age now where he figured it out, and he was like, all right, cool. Cause my dad was so powerful. I remember one time, I was at school and I showed off at school. He came up to school. When I know he come up to school, it's real. He coming to school is real.
Wait, do y'all see him glowing?
Yes.
Like, I love
Real.
this. Like,
Real.
talk about his dad.
Real.
He has a glow.
Real.
Like, I'm sorry.
Regardless of the situation he did,
Right.
like that's my guy.
Right.
So I came up to school. The teacher was talking to me. He just looked at me like, "Is this what you did?" I just cried.
Right,
That's the power that he had
That's right.
on me. Period.
That's that strong.
I'm talking about
black
mama
man.
can throw something at me.
Right,
But seriously, like, listen.
Right.
Check this out.
Yeah, it was
And I'm
like
just
that
like-
for me too, brother.
Like, I'm trying. You try to hold it in. You just,
I kind of feel some kind of way about that because I didn't get any. My father, he could have came to the school. I didn't get scared.
It's different for girls.
Right.
I know,
Yeah,
but
it is.
It's
It's different.
really different for girls.
I didn't get scared. Like,
but I'm just telling you,
It's
like,
totally different.
It is. It is
Our
totally
relationship,
different. Yeah, it's
a
that
girl- a
values of
female
the girl.
relationship with her father is a totally different relationship than a relationship between a son. and
Right,
a
we
father.
soft on the girls.
Yeah.
We like.
Is that
let,
what it is?
Yeah, let your mother handle that. You know,
well,
but
she
with the
ain't- when she
boys,
came, I ain't get scared either.
That's why
you
get
it's
scared.
different.
Why you gangster now?
No, it's not about being gangster. I think. Well, the difference is you knew that something was going to come behind.
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't.
Yeah.
I knew it was never going to come behind mine.
Right.
You know, or at least I knew I'd get out of it.
But you know what I realized though?
Hey, Q, I wanted him here. I'm sorry. He just he said fathers are underrated and underappreciated. This is
Definitely.
my cousin Q. I really wanted him here for
Q,
this topic
love you, man.
because Q
love you.
is we only got a couple minutes. Q is one of the best fathers that I know. I mean, he was
Nice.
also a taken father. The judicial system actually
guy.
taken father. But when he came home, he did what he had to do.
right.
Yeah.
You know, and he loved his kids, and he loved other people's kids. You don't see too many men
Right.
who do that. So I want to give you a shout out, Q. Though you weren't able to be here, I appreciate you tuning in. And for those who are watching, I also appreciate y'all. Share if you can. Give us a call, 410-702-5657. Once we come back from commercial break, the question on the floor when we come back is, now that you are an adult with full knowledge of the situation, do you think your father not being in the home was best?
Ooh.
When we get back, stay tuned.
This is Tyree Miles, also known as Mr. Miles the Writer on Instagram, Fly T Miles.
Hip Hop K, that's Hip Hop K-Zar. Hip Hop K on IG, hip_hop_K.
Oh look, we coming to y'all with this new show called It Is What It Is, where we come with views, y'all.
And it's coming on every Friday, 9 to 11. Check us out.
Make sure y'all get with us. We'll be talking about any and everything, because it is what it is.
Man, it is what it is. Man, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is.
This Fly T Miles, also known as Tyree Miles and Mr. Miles the Writer.
Hip Hop K, check us out every Friday on Be Exposed Radio at 9 to 11.
Coming to y'all soon.
Check out what you missed on Be Exposed Radio.
Listen to Elizabeth Warren talking about Black lives and Black life.
Police are not occupying armies. This is America, not a war zone. I speak today with full knowledge that I have not personally experienced and can never truly understand the fear, the oppression, and the pain that confronts African Americans every day.
Don't you just want to kill yourself? I mean, not from what she was saying, but from the music that was playing in the background. I just want to, oh gosh, but every word she said was prolific, and it did not come from what is now becoming mainstream as white privilege. She has a sensibility about her, and the way she speaks about different things that has, from the first time I saw her, I can't remember what state she's in. I think she's in like North Carolina or something like that, somewhere I'm not going. That some kind of sensibility about her that makes me like her for president. But she's not running. We have this old guy that looks like he should be on the popcorn box. Then we have
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm your host, Love Dawn. You already know. If you want to be a part of this conversation, you can call in 410-702-5657. The question on the floor before we went to commercial break was, you are an adult now with full knowledge of the situation. Do you think your father not being in the home is what was best?
My personal situation, I think him not being there was the best.
You do think it was best?
I do think it was best because I think if he would have been there, I think I would have grew up listening to my parents fuss and argue and fight all the time because my mother wasn't happy with his actions, his behavior. It just would have been a mess, you know, and it happened at such a young age. Like, it was just normal, you know, that he wasn't there. We knew where he lived at. It was only about 5 miles away. But being in the household would have been a little strange.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would have been best too, for him not to be there with me. Also, well, the biggest thing is it's hard for me to look back or try to think about how my life would have turned out if he was, you know, if I had grown up in the house with him, or he was in the house with us. I'm not perfect, far from perfect, but I like who I am today. I like what
That's
made
what's
me.
up, brother.
I like what made me.
I like who you are too, brother.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. You know, right. So him being around, I don't know how that would have changed things. And also just some things I've learned, you know, as I've gotten older, you know, about, you know, the brothers and sisters that I have, and, you know, yeah, I couldn't imagine living under the roof with this dude, man, and then come to find out, oh, what you mean? Or, you know, Pops died, and I'm like, who are you? I'm your brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
My daughter got an inbox a couple months ago from a little girl to say, hey, I'm your sister.
Wow.
My daughter's 18, the little girl 16.
Wow.
She's like, hey, I'm your sister. Tony's my dad, too. Hey, Tony. They call him a Tony.
Right.
Tony, my dad, too. She's like, oh, what am I supposed to say?
Right. How do I address that, right?
All right.
Do you think... Well, he wasn't in the home, but he was present. But do you think, knowing now that as an adult, do you think him being in the home was the best thing, or not being in the home was the best thing for you?
For me, I think for my mom and his.
Oh, it's a call.
For my mom and his situation.
Hello.
Hey, wait a minute, we got a call.
Right.
Okay, we hear you. Can you hear us? Q, turn down your radio. Turn down your phone. We can hear the
feedback.
Yeah, the feedback. Can you turn it down some?
Is this Love Dawn?
Yes, this is Love Dawn. I can hear you.
Yeah. No, you guys are trying to figure out if it makes a difference if you have a father in the household. Is that the gist of the question?
Well, the question on the floor right now is, now that you're an adult, how do you feel? I'm sorry, now that you're an adult, do you feel that your father not being in the home was the best idea? What was best for you or your household?
If it's a man, and I use that word strongly, if it's a man in the household, there's no way in the world that the house is going to be better off without him.
You said if it's a man, it's no way that the house will be better off without him.
There's no way that a household can be better off without the man. It's no way. Unless, now, when I say man, I mean man in the strongest sense. I don't mean male. The young lady said the man is the head and the woman is the neck that turns the head. Well, I can agree with that because it's a symbiotic relationship. It's made to work in duality. When you remove one sex, each individual has an attribute. Women have estrogen, men have testosterone. With having both sex in the household, the child is going to wind up being more balanced. Even if the father is not top notch, the son will get a look at him and be able to say, I'm not going to be that kind of man. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? Well, to look at the woman,
based on the son's interpretation or the son's maturity, because then he may
everything is going to be based off of interpretation and maturity, but the whole thing is chemically scientifically speaking, chemically, they're going to get that balance
Not
of
necessarily.
estrogen and
Because
testosterone.
nowadays, they're arguing even that with the whole new trend of gender
With the what?
roles and all of this new stuff that change. So even and on top of that, how does that explain all of these confused, gender confused people that grew up in two-parent family households? Why wouldn't
Okay,
they
let me explain to you how. One, if you look at a lot of them, if you look at a lot of those gender confused people, one, even if father got a little sugar in his tank, he not really revealing it, or two, the man really truly wasn't there. Three, if you look at the way our society has been built, the number one plan or the number one plot has been to sever the head. Head meaning the black male. We have to get him out the picture. We have to break them down. We have to get his woman to see that he is not as strong as you believe. Once you can divide that, once you can take the protector out of the picture, then you can instill and influence almost anything. How do you think pimps become pimps?
But that's been done though.
Yeah.
Like we,
But
that's
listen,
already.
listen. I have a saying. I know we on
as if
a.
it hasn't occurred. That's already occurred. We've been doing 400 years of that,
Absolutely.
and we're in the process of trying to rebuild.
Right.
We can keep talking about that.
No, how are we in the process of rebuilding with a vast? Wait a minute. And the vast majority of fathers and males are either incarcerated or the woman feel like because now she's making money. You can't not see that the black woman is making money. She's climbing the success ladder, and she feels like, well, shit, I don't need a nigga. So that respect level that was there once before, it isn't the same because at any given moment, a female that has a career, I'm not talking about a job, a female that's having a career feel like I don't gotta put up with this nigga shit. Whereas though when we didn't have as much as we did now, we were forced to endure.
Okay, listen. I believe that your perspective is coming from the father's standpoint.
A personal perspective.
A personal perspective from the father's standpoint. And this is not about a disagreement. I just believe that's the father's standpoint. The question, though, is coming from the child's perspective. Right. Do you feel like as a child, your father not being in the home is what was best for you based on your understanding of your father's situation at that time? But listen, we got to go to a commercial, right? You can put him on hold, right? Hugh, stay on hold while we go to a commercial, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
We're not finished, y'all. Stay tuned.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com, the home of Talk Lately with Monty, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Yeah, this the man that holds it down, Mr. Showtime, D the Boss. Check us out every Saturday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on BeExposedRadio.com. I'm in a relationship. Mm-hmm. My girl happens to be long distance. Mm-hmm. So with that being said,
I beat my thing like it owes me money.
Sorry.
Because I asked that because so many people are not comfortable.
Here's my thing. It's mine.
That's right.
And you need to know yourself before you can have somebody please. If you can't tell nobody how to please you, if you don't know how to please yourself.
That's right.
You know what you like. You know what you like. You know the stroke. All that. So you're right. And I mean, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. It's your body. Yeah, I'm over here struggling with the ear.
Yeah, I'm glad it's you today. I'm glad it's you today, brother.
This thing going to drop. It's going to drop about at least like 5 times.
I'm over there struggling.
So E.D., do you have a problem with masturbating?
No, I don't. I don't masturbate often because I have a fear of going blind. So yes. When I found
you could go blind from
I read about it. Is that true? No, it's not true. It's not. Okay.
Because I was going to say I should have been blind a long time ago.
Let me drop some knowledge on you, real quick.
I was just playing.
But
Hey, what's up, good people? It's the man you all know and love, E Digger. Make sure you check us out every Saturday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Yes. Lady in a white hat. We still ain't get her name. We are back. We once a commercial break, we will continue with the question, do you think your father not being in the home is what was best for you? And I stated, for me, I believe it was best for me based on the lifestyle that my father was leading. Him being in the home would continue to hurt and damage my mother, and which would have caused more chaos in the household. So it would not, I don't think it was best for him to be in the house. Is Q still on the line? Q, you're here?
Hello?
Yes.
No, I don't feel like it was best, or that I had the best experience with my father not being in the household. Though he was in my life my entire existence.
Okay. So you don't think it was, you said you don't think it was best?
I don't think it was prudent, for the simple fact of we need
a father
that
figure.
family orientation. Again, it takes two.
Yeah.
It takes two. I don't want to say it's impossible, because it happens every day, but it's not logical for one person, because of the type of creatures we are, to raise their children. Regardless of it can be done. I had a boy and a girl. I don't feel like I was effective at teaching my daughter how to be a woman. I was able to teach her how to have people respect her. I was able to teach her some do's and don'ts.
But the nourishment part. Yeah.
Right. But it was hard for me to get a true understanding of where she was coming from sometimes, because a lot of the things that she was thinking came from how she felt. And me being the type of man I am, I'm an analytical thinker. I deal with feelings. I deal with my feelings differently. I think about them. I feel this way, and most men do, if I can venture that far and say that. Is what I'm feeling accurate? And they think about that. No. Well, when you take the feeling out and you look at a problem for what it is, a problem, you can tend to find a solution. A lot of women deal with problems emotionally first, and then start to break it down and start to break it down mentally.
Listen, so to a synopsis of what you just said, because we got to run, because we still got a whole lot to get into, is you feel as though it's never best for the father, excuse me, to not be in the home.
I don't want to say never, because you got some pool putt. I don't want to say never, because you got some pool putt non-factor males.
Depending on the situation.
Not depending on the situation, depending on the parents, both male and female, because as much as men can be to blame, women can be to blame as well.
Right.
But
women can be to blame, but this show though is focusing on the father's period, just for the month of June.
It's imperative. It's imperative for our future generations to have a strong, moralized man, father in their life.
Absolutely. Okay.
Male and female is things that you're going to learn on both sides of the board.
We are too far
the
behind.
daughter's going to learn this from their father. The boys are going to learn this from their father. It's imperative.
Okay.
It's imperative, and without them, we will. And without fathers in our household, or without that family structure, we will continue this cycle.
Oh, that's probably why. Okay, listen, Q. Next question on the floor, because we got to move.
Okay.
Did you have to? This is the children. No, if you want to answer. Did you have to watch your father raise other children or another family? And if you did, how did that affect you?
I personally did not. I had a sister and other brothers that were in different households, but my father wasn't in that household either.
I did. My father did remarry, and the woman had a son, and I did have to watch him, but
and he was
basically the type of person that my father was, it was even-handed in my eyesight. You know, they may say hindsight is 20/20, but even growing up in that household, you know, my father was even-handed with things. If I fucked up, that's just what it is. If he did the same thing, then that's what it is. It was more so even-handed. I didn't see any biasness, and that's kind of
Did you have to watch your
part
father
of where I
raise?
got it from. I'm going to deal with you
not really.
on the terms
like
of.
I said before, though, realizing that I had other, siblings out there, I kind of like felt like I was that other child. So no, not. I had to reverse the fact or the reverse feeling about that.
You said you felt like you were the other child.
I was the one that
the children that came after
the two older. Well, however many down North Carolina was saying, "Damn, he's in Baltimore taking care of this other."
Oh, got you.
So I felt like I'm on the other end of that.
Okay.
Well, I watched my father raise up his nieces and nephews. They ain't have father figures. I watch him raise them, but in terms of raising someone else's child, I haven't really seen it. And he won't bring that to me. Like he don't play that. You know what I mean? He don't play that, bringing around his other kids around his family. But if so, it has to be a thing where we talk about it, or whatever the case may be. But I seen him raise a lot of kids.
But it didn't affect.
It didn't affect me at all. It didn't affect me at all
because you already had your.
Exactly.
For me, it was different. For me, I actually had to watch my father. I don't know if I want to use the word raise, because the woman he was with had to do a lot of raising of her siblings, and though that was her siblings, it was like her children. And by them all being in the same household, he became that male role model. Right. So to me, I felt like they were getting him.
Right.
Regardless of if it was actually to call him daddy, or if he was just playing a role of daddy, or if their bike was broken, he was in the house to fix it and so forth. We didn't get that. So, and I didn't like that. I can't say I resented them or felt some kind of way towards them. I just kind of was like, I always equate that to like jump rope. I'm just like waiting to be able to. Y'all can play too. I just want to jump in every now and then.
Let me just dutch a little bit.
And then jump out. And that's what I mean. When you in, you having fun, but then when you out,
Keisha was in her own element. Period.
Not in my
well, Keisha helped raise me too. If y'all didn't know that, man, I was the first. Keisha was the first.
Yeah, Keisha.
She don't like to talk about herself, but I'll talk about her for a little bit. Keisha was the very first woman that like, Eric, you need to sing. You better sing. And she pushed me, and she like, no, do it right. It ain't right. Do it right. You know how she is. Yeah. Do it right. It ain't right. That note flat. Sing it right. So she asked me like my very first song, and she been working with us since we was younger, summer camps, and kept us together, man. So Keisha. Big ups to Keisha, man.
Big ups. Ring the bell for Keisha.
Ring the bell for Keisha, man.
Okay. Let's jump back into the daddy. Right. No, but we are far behind. So, okay. So, do you feel your father was taken or chose to leave? My father was not taken. My father made a choice. Taken using we talked about the judicial system and or military situations that he couldn't control. Was your father taken, or was it by choice?
I don't think it was by choice with my situation. I think my mother put him out. So I think he would have stuck around if he could have stayed and continued to be himself.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Do the things that he wanted to do. But my mother simply was not having that. You know what I mean? Which at that time, my father being a younger man, he was into things.
Yeah.
My mother like, you ain't gonna have that around my kids. So you go and take that out there, and I'll see you when you come visit. And that's how it went down. But he was around, so it worked out.
Yeah, I think it was my father's choice.
Choice. Yeah.
I think he was just like, this whole woman and the kid thing. I can't do this.
So it was fear.
Yeah,
so
I believe. Yeah,
he's a runner, which that's another conversation. The running thing. Yours choice. Or?
I don't think. Well, my father was back and forth, so it was like, I think life just took him. This life situations, like, I'm trying to get back on my feet, and more he got that, like, we got older, so we start saying like, yo, it really don't matter. what you do or how you do it. Like, just be there. Like, I remember things for me. This is what I ever wanted out of my father. I was playing sports at the time. I just want him to be at the basketball game. He didn't have to give me money, shoes, or anything. He just be able to show up at the basketball game and say, "That's my son." Like, you know how important that was for me, because I seen. I'm starting to see now. I started seeing parents at their games, parents supporting them, and parents doing this. And at that time, my mother couldn't come back and forth because she working.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, I need my father there. And then when I got to 8th grade, I got that father figure. Larry, you remember Larry? Mm-hmm. Larry, you remember Larry? Yeah, so I got that father figure, and it was like he was there every day. And Larry passed away from me when I was in 12th grade. And then after that, I was like, man, I'm going to California. I'm doing it.
So that was, I guess that's probably why you are so, you have such a strong view on the village.
Absolutely.
Because he came in and showed you, basically, no, I can't fill the void, but I can get in it so
exactly.
So that,
I'm not in the house where I play my part. I'm not in the house where every day, but I'm around the way. Listen, man, go to school.
Right.
I ain't playing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna take you to school. Matter of fact, here's the deal. You get good grades in school, man. You can get whatever you want out of me. Oh yeah, really? Man, you can get whatever. Dale. Shoes, days, what?
Yeah. I was jealous. Yeah. When it came down to Larry, I was trying to get I'm not even gonna lie. Because I'm like, this, because you don't see men do that much for a man, a boy that's not his son.
Exactly.
And he really did right by her. You know what I'm saying? I was for him, you deal with you go through the stages of, I wonder if he a little
exactly.
Little suspect. You go through that, then it's like, oh, he really he just a good dude.
So strange.
How you
right. You know what I'm saying?
You start questioning things.
Right.
Yeah,
What's
his angle?
I'm talking about teaching me how to put money, stocks and bonds.
Right.
You know what I mean? Saving money.
That's good stuff.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All those different things. And see, that's what it took a hold. That's why I'm so big on ministry and mentorship and different things like that. Because I believe, listen, if I can get one, don't give me 4. I don't need, if I can get one, just one.
Success.
I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
We got 3 minutes. Let's jump to most, if not all of you are fathers now, and the fight was one of the main things that we discussed. Have you ever encountered that same fight with your child's other biological parent? Have you been hit in the face? Well, you don't have a kid yet.
Yeah, I don't.
But have you been hit in the face with the fight of having to get custody or get visitation or anything like that? Have you?
I don't have.
You know, you don't have a kid either?
No.
Okay, so then that would be a no. I'm just now getting into the fight, but before we go to the commercial break, I want to speak from the mother's perspective of that, because I'm now learning that sometimes it's just not the child, but the fight itself is just not worth it. Now that I understand the importance of the relationship between a son and his father, the fight should not be relevant. It's not about it. There should be no fight. And I was one of the ones who fought against it only because I didn't believe that he was in a place that he should be
to take care
of my other boys.
Oh, well, yeah, the boys.
Of the boys. But that's not, unless it's something to harm my child.
Yeah.
That's not my place.
Now you're talking, Keisha.
You know, so now I'm understanding that the fight just should not.
Right, because he still has something.
He has something to offer, as Q said. Right, you know, but it took that also still took maturity.
Yeah,
and that's what I think the men look at women and expect us to already be mature because we are handling certain situations, but we still have to grow up in other areas too. I might can pay the bills and maintain a certain credit and balance a budget. All that might be great, but that does not mean I'm mature enough to deny myself for the betterment of my children in the retrospect of the relationship between them and their father.
Yeah, that definitely takes growth.
That takes, and that's my situation when it comes down to the fight. I'm getting that now. Would you have done anything differently? What we got? 1 minute. Would you have done anything differently? Just yes or no. Quick.
As a child?
As far as this is the father, I'm sorry, would you have wanted them to do anything differently?
No, I thought my father did great.
He did what he had to do. You are clearly, you said your father did what he had to do.
He had to do what he did, bro. Consistency. That's what I'm big on. Just be consistent. That's it. It wasn't like my mom was like, no, you can't come and see it. Old school.
Right.
Listen, that's your father. Love your father. Look, you know my mama. Love your father. That's your father. Go over there and talk to. Did you call your father? She called me now. I'm 30 years old. Did you call your father? Mom, I call him. Dang. We talk.
That is old school.
Right.
Would you have wanted your father to do anything differently?
No.
Okay. Q, you say yes. Can you type us in what that was? And we're reading that. When we come back from commercial break, we're going to go into how do you reply. I'm going to read you some of the responses of the fathers, and I want to know how you reply to what they said. Sunset Soul, we'll be right back.
Check out what you missed on Be Exposed Radio.
Are you getting your kids this hoverboard thing that's taken over the country? They range from $300 to $600. They're blowing up. And then I mean literally blowing up. That one video, I thought that was going to be the one and only video that I saw in reference to it, and it wasn't. I seen, now I could probably tell you about 10 to 15 videos of this happening, where this battery gets super, super hot and burns like holes into your tennis shoes.
Oh my.
And I know you would be pissed if you was wearing Jordans and you just paid all that money, you know, your lights are off. And
Especially if they're from China.
Your lights off.
Check out the Talk Lately show every Tuesday nights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here
Hey
on Be
everybody,
Exposed
check
Radio.
out what you missed on the one and only Be Inspired radio show.
I'm just thankful this year I've dealt with, you know, some growing pains, and I've overcome some things, and I've also, you know, accomplished some things in the process. I've learned some things. Like I've learned I learned that everybody loves your work until they got to pay for it. That's what I learned. That's what I learned. I learned everybody loves what you do.
The pay?
I mean,
not always.
Listen, the Bible says money answereth all things.
Well,
okay, and there is a place. There is a place where finances is necessary. And when you got kids and when you got a wife and then you doing everything and you know you top dog at what you do, especially when you weren't in the same place you, like with this radio show, you ain't in the same place you were a year ago. Should nobody be coming on the show and not donating to your show?
Can you say that on my show?
Should nobody be coming to your show?
Can you say that in the middle of the live?
Yeah, make that a promo, please.
Should nobody come on this show without donating?
That is a nice commercial.
I don't care if it's $20.
Donate.
Tune in to Be Inspired every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. right here on
You are
Be
listening
Exposed
to
Radio.
BeExposedRadio.com.
And we have a full house tonight. My co-host Leslie Swirl and Miss Lisha G, y'all already know.
Hey.
Tony Bling, y'all already know. But I have with me Mr. Paul Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
And my brother, Mr. Kevin Little here.
Well, all right.
So I'm quite sure this is going to be a hot topic. I'm very excited about today's show. And I'm also excited because for the first time, the men outnumber the women.
That is true. Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Finally. Because that took some... This is the first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was like, wait a minute, maybe I messed up. Finally, the men outnumber the women. And I really wanted that. More so for all of the shows for the month, but definitely for this show. And then
check out what you missed on Be Exposed Radio.
So now we are in reactive mode. You know, with our young people, we don't spend enough time working with them, preparing them, inspiring them, mentoring them. And so now we're faced with a generation that's like, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Right.
I have no respect for you, because what have we done to help them except to say that, like I was telling the HL7 that, you know, I get highly upset when adults forget that they were ever young, and the first thing they say is young people are up to no good. You know, well, you're not helping them. What are you doing to inspire them? Right. So to me, that's reactive, because now that they're in the street cutting up, now you like, oh, we need to do something with our children, or we need to start schools earlier so we can get them off the street, or we need to do this. To me, that's reactive.
Tune in to Be Inspired every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. right here on BeExposedRadio.com.
You right? We are back.
So you don't like
we are back. Y'all know the conversation never stops when we go to break. The question, I'm sorry, we didn't get into a question. We were going to go into the how do you reply, but prior to that, we had asked a question about what would you have wanted your father to do differently, and Q worked it out with his moms. As we say, I guess still the fight, but just in another focus more on the relationship between the mother and father than fighting for the child, more so. So it goes, the fight is a big thing. The child sees that. What effort are you putting forth for me? Show me something, So that's so huge for the child's perspective. But how do you reply? These are some things that the fathers had said, and we're going to get into it. And I just want you to kind of take your time with this, because I really wanted to focus on these a little bit and give me your reply to what they said. First is, I thought my presence in the home would have hurt you more than my absence. My leaving was my way of protecting you.
Okay.
My response?
Yeah.
Gee, thanks. Really? Seriously, like all the sarcasm I can muster up. Gee,
yeah,
thanks.
I think that response can be acceptable if he can then go into detail as to why he felt that way. So if he's going to say, well, I was on drugs, I was stealing, stuff like that, then I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But if you're just saying, well, I just didn't want to get my act together quite yet.
Right.
Then it's like, but wait a minute, you just had a child, so that should have been sufficient reason
for you to get it together. That's true.
And it also, that would depend on how I turned out. If I went through the storm and I went through some, I went through some shit. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to hear anything he had to say. Like, you know what, man, I done been through hell and back, and I see it around the corner coming again, and I'm prepared for it. I've already learned. I know what I have to do for it now, and I probably had that kind of resentment towards him. Like after I've been there and I didn't walk so many miles, just for you to come back and say this is the reason why, whatever that excuse is, it could be legitimate, like he was saying.
But you said earlier in the show that you grew eventually. Once you matured, your understanding grew. Mm-hmm. If your father would have came to you during that time that you had that, you were now healed, and said, well, I know you may not understand this, but I did it for you. Would you have interpreted that differently from what you're saying now?
And I guess it depends on what he was saying before about his reasons, and also where I was at a certain point. Mm-hmm. And also, I want to say, well, I can't speak on, my mom, because, I don't know what she was going through. So I don't know how him not being there affected her. Maybe I would. It depends. I can't say me as I am now. You know what? I probably would have accepted it to an extent. There's still some things that, I kind of like, I wish I knew, maybe 20, 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. But, I probably would have accepted it the same, like I spoke about earlier. I've probably been a little more reserved. But
we say this, I don't know if it's a church thing or not, but the danger seen and unseen.
That's a church thing. That's a church.
Well, but that fits for this situation. Because the father is basically saying, I chose to leave to protect you, though you may can't see what could have happened with me being in the home. You won't be able to understand it because it's dangerous seen and unseen. You can't appreciate not being hit by the car until you jump out the way. Right. But if you saw the car coming and then you're ecstatic because you made it through. And that's what the father's perspective is. You just don't you don't know what could have possibly came with me being in that house, so you're not gonna get it. Do you leave the explanation for what it is? I did it for you.
Yep. Because if that's your response, then you didn't really have anything better to give me anyway. So I appreciate it. That's why I said, gee, thanks, with all the sarcasm I can muster up. Because if in your brain you couldn't offer me nothing, then you probably couldn't.
All right, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Because why I say that is because of this. It's okay. I have a situation. Okay, I'm not a father, but I'm so many different young men these days at the age of 30. So now I look at it and I say, okay, a father in this household, he's trying to make it work. He's trying to do everything in his power, but he's just like, you know what? It'd be best for me just to leave. You know what I mean? Get the situation from one situation to another and just like get away from it. Because if I stay, it ain't gonna do nothing but damage her and the kids. Period. Yep. So now I have to find a way to figure it out. I gotta figure a different routine. I gotta figure it out. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, all right, whatever. It all depends what age your kids are too, as well. The younger is so vital and significant. It's so vital and significant. So that's a big, huge step. But it's like it's very touchy about it, because then you like, all right, cool. Then why he leave? Then why he do this? And why he do this? And then it's very hard to explain. But then it's like, okay, I done that because, you know, I had to go what was best for me at that time.
And the reason why that is so significant, and what I say about maturity, where sometimes there's just no answer, and you just take it for what it is because you look how many murder suicides are you seeing there?
Yeah.
These men that's coming in and killing them, their wife, their kids. I'd rather you tell me I'm out.
Right.
I can't tell. I just gotta go. Than you to shoot me. Like, I'd rather you just go with no explanation than to shoot me.
So serious.
I'm serious. I'm really serious.
But a lot of times, I like to piggyback off that. A lot of times, and why is that though, Keisha? Why do I want to? No, not that. But why is the man, you know, going out and doing his thing? Because of the pressure. I agree. Maybe sometimes no job. Oh, maybe sometimes,
especially for the black man.
Especially,
I mean, I'm not justifying.
You know what I'm saying? No job.
There's a rhyme and a reason.
Yeah, we're not giving them an excuse to go out there and drink, or go out here and do X, Y, and Z. But
if it is drinking, if it is some type of addiction that they can't control, then you're dealing with the pride of a man.
Exactly.
I mean, we can go down, like you say, the rabbit hole of the different reasons for why he don't. I can't explain that to you. I can't. How can I explain it to you when I don't even have the full understanding myself? Right. You know. Well, we got to go to a commercial break. We're just getting started. The next question is, I'm sorry, not question, but reply. I did not need to be in the house with you to love you. I created you. You are and will forever be a part of me.
Wow.
I'm not feeling that.
Okay. But we gotta go to a commercial.
Who created?
We'll be right back.
That sounds like boy don't question.
You're listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Lately it's back on May 17th at 7 p.m. only on BeExposedRadio.com. Oh, okay, yeah. Also on YouTube. I know the latest killing. Why would you see me recording? Oh my God. You a hard-headed hoe.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
He's dead. Oh,
6 years after he passed away.
It states she reportedly had heard rumors, but nothing substantial. But then you put the rumors
while
death.
They were still married.
You sentenced the rumors to death.
While they still were married, she heard rumors.
Right. Okay. Probably all her life she's heard rumors. Like you're dating, you know you're dating your dad, right? Y'all look just alike. I'm like, girl, somebody told me you dating your father. You know, that's what kind of people. You know he gay, right, Percy?
Please, why are you laughing at him? Don't laugh at him. Please don't.
Okay, let me continue with the story.
Oh,
man. Even today, it's still funny. Oh my gosh, if you haven't heard this show, it's Talk Lately, and it's only on BeExposedRadio.com every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and on YouTube. Just go to Be Exposed
Check out what you missed
Radio.
on Be Exposed Radio.
Listen to Elizabeth Warren talking about Black lives and Black life.
Police are not occupying armies. This is America, not a war zone. today with full knowledge that
We are back.
We looking for equality.
We're back. We're back.
Equality in all the wrong
We're
ways.
back. We're back.
Right.
We're back. We're back. Before we left, the one of the comments from the fathers, which is one of the fathers are on live right now, said, "I did not need to be in the home with you to love you. I created you. You are and will forever be a part of me." Now the children's here, the adult children's are not feeling that. They're not feeling the dads.
No.
And this is why. Why?
I mean, I think it's a true statement, but I don't think it's going to be conveyed very well with a child.
Right.
Because what a child's going to hear is like, boy, I'm your daddy. Don't question me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you lucky I'm even talking to you right now.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like my daddy didn't even talk to me. You know,
Right.
I did better than him, so shut up. But I mean, I get it though. But I think a child might take it, the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would. And I mean, it's just kind of saying, okay, I wanted you here, but I chose to step out for a few years here and there, just to be lucky, that I wanted you here.
That is some straight.
be happy.
What's the movie with Denzel with his son?
Fences.
Yeah, that's a fences.
Boy, you ain't got
comment.
that in, man. Boy, what you say? Kevin said he never had a pops. What he meant was, your father always your father and should be able to give you advice or discipline you no matter what.
Yeah.
Big up to Kev.
Yeah.
I get it, Kev.
I don't know about that discipline part.
Well, see, that's the mama part. That's what I'm saying. Like, me and you, you're not coming in my house beating on my son. And I don't know where you been at. Now, all of a sudden. But it makes a difference, though.
Hey, wait, it's the way how you do it. It's the way how you do it. Discipline ain't just with your hand now.
You just pop up all of a sudden.
Discipline ain't just with your hand now. And I think sometimes.
And that's why these young boys be knocking their fathers out.
Sometimes at the end of the day, like my mom say, listen, that's your father. Respect your father. At the end of the day, there should be a boundary that no matter what he going through in his life, that you should give the father that respect to able to get contact with your child, no matter what the situation is. You gotta give him that. You gotta give him.
Give him exactly what? What are you saying?
When I'm talking about when it comes down to the discipline part.
Well, see,
now we're talking about building a relationship. Where's the relationship?
That's what we're talking about.
So that's
building a relationship
with the son. I get it if you like, and then you come home, boy. But then you got mothers out here that only call the father when they want discipline.
I agree.
That's true.
Come on.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
Because from a mother who did that, I don't want to talk. Like, I don't want to talk any other time. Like, I don't want to talk until because you say we don't need to talk unless it involves the kids. That's usually what you hear when you're dealing with parents that are separated. If it don't involve the kids, we don't need to have no conversation. Right. Well, on a good day, I'm not going to call you and say, hey, today was a good day. Like, we're not going to have that conversation. But I don't, because we ain't friends. So, I mean, well, we weren't friends. I'm trying, But you will call when you need something for a response. I need you to now come in.
And that's when he's your son.
Yeah, come get your kids. Right. But again, I am learning. And I think that comes with the maturity of the parents. And I think sometimes having children later would benefit us, but neither here nor there. We are not necessarily feeling the comment of "I created you." That comment was in reply of me asking them. The child's question was, "How can you love me? We don't spend time together." Right. Okay. And usually, love comes, it develops over time, and we have not had time together. So how could you possibly love me? Right. This was their response to that question. I'm going to love you because I'm your father. I created you, a part of me. Right. So I don't need to pick you up from school. I don't need to stay in and watch you. You have, like I said, military fathers who drive, who go on all the time, who still love their children. Right. So that's where that came from. But like you say, a child, even sometimes an adult child who has not matured, is not going to hear that the way you said it. Right. So I agree with that. So Joanna said, y'all are saying an absent father should be able to step in and discipline the child at any time. No,
we're not saying that.
Absolutely, I'm not saying that.
We're saying that all depends on the relationship and how the family has it set up, where he can intervene, or he can discipline the child. I believe that you always should have that door open, and like we said, the relationship. It's about the relationship.
And like I said, discipline is not always
a
whipping or whatever. Sometimes discipline is just come from a conversation between a father and a son. It's not a conversation between the mother and the son.
That's what helps build relationship, though.
Yeah.
That's what builds the relationship.
Right.
Those conversations between father and son
or just father and child.
Or father and child.
Because in her situation, when we're talking about father and son, but I mean, using this situation, her specifically, she has a daughter. So it would be, and we're daughters. And there are some things that your father would say to you, like, who was that? Quincy was just saying that Q was saying he taught his daughter what to expect and the standard or whatever from a man expectation. So that conversation that a father telling a child, this is what a boy, you need to watch out for these young men because blah, 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 versus your mother.
I had those conversations.
I haven't either.
Okay, and I mean, not my, when I say my daddy, I'm talking about my stepfather. I remember him popping in the back of the head one time. I think it was about to cross the street or something. No other spankings other than that. Really no other discipline, because we just did what he said, because that was daddy. Like, we didn't really play with him. He was really lenient, but I don't think he didn't teach none of that stuff. My daddy taught me more how to be a boy. Like, he taught me boy stuff. My daddy taught me how to fight. He taught me how to change my tire, how to be independent.
But you know what? Listening to what you just said,
right.
All of what you just said is still teaching you girl stuff, because if he don't teach you the girl stuff, you're going to have to defend yourself, because you ain't going to know what to look for from the little boys.
Yeah.
If you don't pick the right man, you're going to have to change your tire because he ain't teach you how to choose the right man.
Right.
So technically, he still taught you the other way. Look, I can't teach you that, so I'm going to have to teach you how to do this yourself, because you ain't going to choose right wise.
You might don't have a man in the flat tire company. You need your flat tire. You know what I'm saying?
He knew that we was going to call him, because that's what he did.
Kevin said he
might don't be that. Right. He looking up himself.
All right.
I might don't be that.
Because all right, the next question. If I had the next comment of the fathers, if I had to do it over again, I would have stayed with you, but I didn't know better then. I didn't know any better then, is what I meant to say. When you know better, you do better. Now, that's from one father. Second part is, though I see my presence would have helped in some situations, I wouldn't change anything. I did what I thought was best. No. So you got one father saying, if I would have known better, I would have done better. Another father saying, no, I wouldn't have changed a thing.
I think the first response is a more receptive answer for the child. I think the second response is not taking in consideration what the child felt like they missed without that father being there. Because if you just make a blunt statement like, oh, I wouldn't change it for a thing, now the child's reminiscent of all the times that they wanted that father there for particular situations. Because when you're there, it doesn't always have to be anything so severe. Like, I remember one time with my son, and he was a teenager, 16, 17 years old, and he was sick, right? So he's in the bathroom, up chucking, and there's nothing I could do to stop him from throwing up, right? But the fact that I was there and just rubbing him on his back while he was dealing with what he was dealing with, it made him get through that situation better. Even though he was already 16, 17 years old. But because I've been there his whole life, just with him knowing my dad is right here with me while I'm dealing with this sickness, it made him feel better and that he could get through it. So those are things that only the child can pick up on. So a statement just saying, I wouldn't have changed a thing. I think the child may think, well, you haven't heard all the problems I have with you yet.
Right.
Before you just say you wouldn't change anything.
So y'all feeling these kind of way towards that?
Yeah, I would have, I think just given the fact that he approached me and came out and said these things to me, I would have definitely took that would have had some weight towards how I felt about it. And
the door locked. Okay.
Had any
Why? Because we lock doors.
Technically, I don't lock none of our doors. They know me. Look.
Yeah, just to be,
you know what that mean, right?
Just given the, yeah, just the fact that he approached me about it, you know, and just made that statement, you know, I had to imagine that would have been something that would have been hard for him to do, you know. I imagine I'm at a decent age where I'm understanding what he's saying to me. So sometimes some significant time has passed when he approached me just to make those comments. So I would have definitely took those things into consideration. You know, I would believe that he was sincere when he said that he thought he did what he had to do best. You know, I don't know what those things are. And again, it's, you know, just I would search back just in my mind, and I would see how my mind reacted over that time that he was gone. Okay. And her reaction would tell me that, well, maybe that was the best thing. You know, so I tend to kind of like think these things through before I get real reactionary on things. So I think that's how I would approach it.
Wait a minute, Matt.
Okay, so for me, hindsight is always 20/20. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look back on all of the mistakes and all of the other things that you made in life, you're always gonna think, well, dang, I could have did this, or dang, I could have did that. But for a child, because we, you know, I can't speak for everyone, but me personally, before a child, hindsight isn't 20/20 for a kid. No matter how old it is, no matter how old your child is, when you finally have that discussion about why you were gone or why you were absent for X amount of years. Because even if you're missing, and then you rekindle a relationship with your child, those years you weren't there are the years that they remember the most. The smallest things, like, you know, everybody remember that one instance where like your mom or your dad picked you up and brushed your knee off. Those are things. Those things are the things that matter when it comes to a kid, especially when it comes to that developing interpersonal relationships with other people. And to tell them that you wouldn't change a thing is the most completely selfish thing you can say to your child. Because you wouldn't be having this conversation if your child wasn't disturbed by your absence.
I agree.
And that's what we was talking about a little bit earlier. That's what we talking about a little earlier.
I don't know, but we gotta move. Next one, because we ain't got but a few more minutes left. I treated my grandkids differently because it was my second chance to do things right.
Oh, Lord.
I'm sorry. I treated my grandkids differently because it was my second chance to do things the right way. I messed up with you. To see your children was to see you, but with the fresh start.
No, I can't see a kid relating to that.
I think I did.
That's a little deep for me, because me personally, I wouldn't have wanted to say to my child, well, hey.
But this is the child's. This is now you as an adult. This is your father telling you, because it's grandkids. You're saying I treat your children because the question was, why is it that you treated me one way, but now that I have children, you the best grandparent in the world.
Okay.
So they're saying I treated my grandchildren this way because it was my second chance to do it right. So what you see is your child. What I see is you.
Right.
A second chance, a fresh start at doing things the right way.
Yeah, well, I guess that's decent. At least he's letting the child know I'm trying to do better. But I don't think I would want to do anything in response to remind them the shortcomings I did with them.
Right.
So even though you're saying, look, I'm doing better with the grandkids, but it's still saying, okay, because I didn't do well with you. You get what I'm saying? I don't think I want to hear that.
I don't think it's intentional. Like, all right,
yeah,
so
maybe it's not. Maybe
my biological father, when his father died, I went to the funeral. I had my baby by then. Brianna was a baby. Like, she wasn't even born yet. She wasn't walking. So I went to the funeral, and everybody convinced me to go to the house, which was already a stretch. So I went to the house afterwards, and I saw my biological father.
Right.
And he walked up to me. He did not speak to me.
That's not good.
He took my baby out of my hand and paraded her through the neighborhood to show everybody his granddaughter. And he was so proud.
Right.
But he still didn't say anything to me. He couldn't face me.
Right.
But he felt like I could start over.
Right.
Like, this is what I would have done if I could have done it. but I wasn't in the right mind to do it.
He's trying to show you. Right, but he's still.
So you think that's what he's doing?
Because he's scared I'm gonna punch him in his face or something.
Right. You think
he don't know what I'm gonna do.
You think he's trying to show her who he could possibly be through her child?
And and I think there's nothing wrong with that, but I still think you have to repair. At least attempt.
Because you're not going to see it that way. Right. Because like I said last week, and I'm gonna stand on this, you're looking at an adult.
Right.
But what I am in regards to my father, or any person in regards to their father, is still that child. That whatever age you walked out that door, whatever age they were damaged, is who you're standing in front of. Right. So you think you're talking to a fully grown, matured woman, but I'm still 7, 8, 9.
That's not necessarily always the case. I don't think that, like, for me, the moment he walked up to me, I really thought he was about to speak to me. I really did. I was like, you're about to speak. And he reached and took the baby and took off. I'm like, where you going with my baby? But when I saw him go next door and then go next door, I knew exactly what was going on.
Right.
I knew it. And we still don't. Well, he passed away, but we still didn't have.
That's what I was going to say. Like, vibes is crazy.
Like, I think we have to learn how to forgive.
That works for you.
I had to be in the place earlier. I don't think I was bound by that at that time. I think I had been freed from all of that by then, so that when he was able to, I could interpret what was going on.
Right. Jasmine just said the same thing, but how is that making up for the lost time with your child?
It's not.
Wouldn't that cause more tension with the parent and child? The question still remains: how could you do that? How could you not be there for me? So
when do we learn to forgive?
Right.
When do we learn to understand? When do we learn to accept the fact that I can't get those years back? Nothing you say is going to make me feel good about the situation.
That's true.
So when do we just accept the fact that, especially as adults,
as adults,
right? How would what if that was us? Why can't we put ourselves in that situation and think about what they went through? Like, I thought about that. Like, as a child, I knew, dang, my daddy punked my father. Like, it's crazy. Like, he punked that dude. So it's like, either you going to fight in the street or you going to go about your business. You might get beat up and still look like a punk. At the end of the day, you know that you can't provide for your child the way that he's going to provide for your child. So I'm just going to bow out. Like, that is a horrible situation to be in. And I'm not making any excuses for my biological father, but when you're mindful of or empathetic,
yes, Joanne,
when you're empathetic of other people's feelings, you can see things a little bit differently. You can step back and say,
you basically just answered what she said. She said, I guess that's a test of forgiveness. But how can you forgive a parent though you were never given an apology? Her next response is, so it's more acceptance versus forgiveness.
When we stop trying to forgive people for the sake of other people and start forgiving people so that we can be healed,
you'll learn that was saying earlier.
You don't need that apology. I don't need you to apologize.
And I think with the grandchildren also, I think well, I know my mentality, I would be thinking that, okay, I would want what's best for my kids, and if you want to be a grandfather, you're going to be a grandfather. But if you do any of that what you did to me to them, there's going to be some consequences. So here's your chance to make it to make amends for what you did to me.
But I'm watching.
And if you slip in any way, you do anything that you did to me to them, there's going to be some consequences.
Like you said, a lot of times.
Wait, we got to go to commercial.
And that's where forgiveness is going to come.
We're going to be right back. We got to go to commercial break. We're still reading your comments.
Well, Facebook's still live.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
And we have a full house tonight. My co-host Leslie Swirl and Miss Lisha G, y'all already know.
Hey.
Tony Bling, y'all already know. But I have with me Mr. Paul Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
And my brother, Mr. Kevin Little here.
Well, all right.
So I'm quite sure this is going to be a hot topic. I'm very excited about today's show. And I'm also excited because for the first time, the men outnumber the women
That is true. Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Finally, because that took some. Was this? This is the first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, maybe I messed up. Finally, the men outnumber the women, and I really wanted that more so for all of the shows for the month, but definitely for this show. And then we got our producer and our engineer, so we got a lot of testosterone in here today. We might gotta pull it up, but that's all right because we strong. We strong
with a C.
With a strong.
Yes. Strong.
I mean, how you pronounce it?
Strong.
There you go. So last week's topic was media, our fathers in mainstream media and their disappearing act, basically, or the minimizing of our fathers in mainstream media. And I'm not sure if we ever got the resolution was in order to really fix that, we need our own, support our own.
Pretty much.
That's basically how we sum that up. But this week we are talking about our fathers, continuing our conversation with our fathers, and the subject for these next 2 weeks topic is taking fathers. And this first part is called A Father's Tale, and I named it that because this is wrong. I actually changed the way that tale was spelled on this paper, y'all, and I didn't say it.
Oh, I see that.
Obviously. But I wanted to do it this way because I wanted to give the fathers an opportunity to speak their position, to speak their mind on the matter. We have in this room some fathers who, for different reasons, were not in the home with their children, be it work, be it other obligations, be it jail, be it the army. I mean, there's a host of different reasons why our fathers are not home. And the one reason that we always see, we see this more than anything, is the fact that our fathers are in jail. And this is where this piece actually started from. We are back. We are back. Before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about the grandchildren and how the parents interact with the grandchildren and how we as adult children now respond to that. And forgiveness versus acceptance. Jasmine wrote, I haven't let go, and I'm 24 years old with a child. I love my dad, but certain things make me retreat back to that child that I was damaged. I have forgiven him, but I still find myself having a little ill feelings at times. Even with the person showing regret, the damage is still done. How can it be reversed? Joanna agrees. She's 27, still feels some kind of way about her dad.
It can't be reversed.
It can't be reversed.
It can be healed.
Yeah.
But is healing coming from the parent?
Why do we continue to expect the same knife to cut us to be the knife that stitches us up? Knives, if it cuts you, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to be the tool used to repair it. Okay. And that's where we're going wrong. We're looking for the object that caused the pain to repair the pain. And that's not how it works in nature at all.
So how do you heal from that?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Oh, she's saying reverse as if, I know what you're going through, Dad, and I've been through it, and I show the love, and I bring the love.
But she can't say I know what you've been through if she ain't been through what he been through, which is addiction or, incarceration.
I mean, a lot of times I haven't gone through a lot of situations, but I've seen it through other people's experiences. So, say for instance, you going through something, and you're my best friend or whatever the case may be. I'm living that experience with you. I might not go through it, but I'm living that experience with you. So I get to tell someone else about the experience that I went through.
Your understanding of the experience, but you can't say, I know what you're going or what you went through. You can say, I understand now.
I can't say I know. If I'm there with you every day,
you still can't know it.
I can't know it.
It's your experience. I mean, it's your experience of it, but you haven't lived through it.
You haven't conceptualized that situation the way that she's conceptualized.
You can't. If you have not suffered the pain that I suffered, you suffered with me, yes. But it's from your understanding of outside looking in versus you going through what I'm going through. You can hold my hand through labor all day long, but you will never experience that pain.
Right.
So,
but
I
don't experienced it with you. That's what I'm saying.
You experienced.
You had an experience,
right?
In a roundabout
you know
way.
What I'm saying? So now, if I have experience, labor is totally different. That's something.
It's the same.
Pain is pain.
Yeah. Well, let me ask y'all this question.
Which pain.
Y'all remember the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Will's dad came back?
Everybody remember that.
Yeah.
And his dad came back. They were trying to rebuild the bond or whatever. Will felt awesome. He left. He was only gone for 30 seconds before Will was crying.
Mm-hmm.
Which meant even though he came back and he did all of this stuff to try to repair, that wasn't the healing process.
Right.
That wasn't fixing the issue. We're looking for our fathers to come back and do all this extra stuff to fix the issue. The issue's still gonna be there. You still gone.
Can I respond to Jasmine's comment?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think two things I want to say. First, I think sometimes complete forgiveness is hard to grasp if you haven't really gotten a chance to tell that person how you really feel. Right. And so, I mean, sometimes even when that person apologizes, it could be in a situation where you're trying to remain cordial. Mm-hmm. Like, I appreciate you apologizing to me. Whereas if it had been a different environment, you might have started crying and I hate you. Do you remember when I was 9? And, you know, blah, 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 and get that off your chest. And then also, I see that she's 24 years old. So with that, I'm going to say you still have a lot of mental and spiritual growth to go through, which is going to allow you to grasp forgiveness easier. At the age of 24, you're still very temperamental. So for Jasmine,
she's temperamental.
Just give yourself time to heal. You know, as you grow older, that healing's going to come with that. Because at 24, it would have been hard for me to, you know,
for
just
anybody,
give that forgiveness.
Especially with life coming at you,
life
hitting you in the face.
So right now, just let yourself grow with that. That forgiveness and healing will come with it.
Matt, here we go.
Also, when it comes to healing, you have to accept the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
People don't do that at all. Like you were saying, you know, everybody just wants this quick Band-Aid when in real life you need to get stitches and staples.
Yeah.
You know, and
antibiotics.
Yes, indeed.
But what people have to do is they have to accept that things happen. Because what happens is nobody copes with their actual problem.
Right.
What they do is they throw another thing in front of it, and then another thing in front of it, and then you wind up being, you know, emotionally destroyed on the inside, smiling at everybody. But in real life, you could have sat down and dealt with it the proper way, because we don't. Nobody anywhere on their own deals with emotional scars properly.
Right. Well, because we are now at the end of this show, and we didn't get a chance to get into all of the comments that the dad said. So hopefully y'all go back and watch that show and give us some feedback on the things that they said, or watch this show. We might do a short after show if we can to at least read the comments for you. I say this: they say time heals everything. I don't necessarily say, I can't necessarily say it heals everything, but I do believe it'll heal this if you allow it to. Because if you do allow it to, because one way or the other, if he didn't do anything else, his sole purpose may have only been to bring you forth in this world. That's the one good job that he did. He may screw up everything else, but he did you right. He did you right, meaning life, health, strength. These are the things that he gave to you. And that may be it. Sometimes it just is not meant for that man to groom you.
Yeah.
And we want it. Oh, how we want it, you know. But that don't mean that was what it was supposed to be. You had an awesome father, as you said, that raised you. That was his job. For you to become the person that you are, you needed these cells, these chromosomes, this. It was strategically planned by God. I need this person to be able to do Sunset Soul in 2017. I need her smart. I need her, she needs to have a certain amount of wisdom. She needs to be articulate. And in order for her to be able to be those things, I need this man and this woman. That's it. Right. And that may be just it. When you look at it as his job was done and that's all he was supposed to do, I cannot be angry with you anymore because you were not supposed to do anything other than create me.
Right.
Sometimes it's just easier to digest that way for me. But we got to go. I appreciate, thank you so much. Y'all already know with y'all tuning in with us every Thursday at 8 o'clock next week. Will we be doing this next week?
Yes, we will.
Next week.
Brother Mike, Black by Demand.
Black by Demand. Yeah. We will be discussing
EP life skills.
Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
We will be discussing African American economics and how we can grow our own and help and support our own and community and products and just everything. We're going to tap into that and the banks and all that good stuff. Listen, I am absolutely absent-minded with the stuff, so I need all of the goodness that they have to give me because I'm not feeling very happy about our African American entrepreneurs. I'll say it that way.
We're going to give them some wake-up juice.
Absolutely. Thank you ever so. We will see y'all next week. Thank y'all so much. Bye. Facebook.
Check out this flashback from the Artist Exchange Radio Show.
That's the biggest thing, is just empowerment. Just get off of the begging line. Just be proud and just get our pride and our dignity back, because as a child, we're taught how to go